Hi, I'm Billy Brown. I'm a nature writer for Grid here in Philadelphia, and I'm also with phillynature.org, and I'd like to talk about the connection between water and birds. So when I say that, you might think of things like ducks that live in the water a lot of the time, or at least nest next to the water and then spend a lot of time in the water and feed there. You might think of bald eagles, herons, birds that really catch their food out of the water, and you'd be right. Those are definitely part of what I think about when I think about the connection between birds and water, but I really want to talk about how insects make the connection between birds and water. So what I'm thinking of is there's a whole lot of aquatic insects, or let's say insects that spend their egg and larval phases in the water. So they get their eggs laid in the water, they develop as larvae or nymphs in the water, then they emerge to fly, usually really briefly, maybe for a few days or a few weeks, to mate, lay their eggs again in the water, and then they die. So I'm thinking of things like various midges. You might think of mosquitoes, which certainly count in this category, but there are a whole lot of harmless midges, which look a lot like mosquitoes. There's caddisflies and stoneflies and mayflies and scorpion flies and Dobson flies, sponge flies, a whole lot of different kinds of flying insects that you see around the water. You might actually see them around the water, by the shore of the water, but you'll also see them at night. I live a couple miles from the nearest river or creek in Philadelphia, and when I put up a sheet and lit it up for a moth night near my house to see what kind of moths would fly in, I got a whole bunch of caddisflies, which means they were flying around from the rivers and the creeks, even a couple miles inland. And so a whole lot of birds eat and rely on those insects. So right behind me, we've got a whole lot of tree swallows, which are just beautiful birds. We're at Fort Mifflin on the Delaware at their moat, and their moat is a whole bunch of tree swallow nest boxes, and they take advantage of it and fly around eating those aquatic insects that emerge and fly around briefly, and some of them don't get to breed before they die because they get eaten by the swallows. You've got a few species of swallows in Philadelphia. You've got the tree swallows, you've got barn swallows that, if you might guess from the name, build nests in human structures a lot. They've got more of a sort of an apricot or peach-colored chest. You've got rough-winged swallows, which aren't quite so flashy as either of the other two, but you see a lot of those. Plus, you've got chimney swifts. All these birds fly around catching bugs over water. You've got kingbirds, which are kind of flycatcher that I always see when I'm on the rivers in Philadelphia. They'll hang out on top of a tree and then swoop out, grab a fly or grab a bug, and then land again. You've got yellow warblers and warbling vireos, which are insectivorous birds. They eat bugs that will pick them off of bushes and trees along the water. So we've got a whole lot of birds, and I shouldn't say just birds. Bats do the same thing, but they do it at night, so they'll fly around the water and pick up a lot of these insects that are flying around at night. And then, of course, things like spiders. You see a lot of spiders' webs around bridges and buildings that are near the water, and they're catching a lot of these flies that are coming off of the water. So you've got all these connections between what we think of as creatures of the land or terrestrial animals and aquatic habitats. So if you need another reason to take action for clean water, here you've got it, that you're not just helping fish, you're not just helping things that you think of as living in the water, you're also helping a lot of animals that rely on aquatic life and aquatic ecosystems to live even if they're not actually in the water. I want to thank Fort Mifflin for letting us shoot back here. I want to thank William Penn Foundation for supporting this content. If you like this, please head on over to phillynature.org and learn more about nature in Philadelphia. And of course, subscribe to Grid Magazine and support environmental journalism right here in Philadelphia. Thank you.